Welcome to Thursday. It's November 7th, 2024. This DayWeather podcast brought to you by Converse County Tourism. Douglas and Glen Rock, Wyoming are bustling with action this holiday season. Plan your excursion, including fun activities, beautiful downtowns, and historic treasures. Learn more at conversecountytourism.com. Well, we're going to call it the boomerang storm because it's going to visit twice. Yesterday, these were images from southern Colorado with the first push of the storm coming into the region. A lot of eastern Colorado getting some heavy, wet snows, and that's a pattern that's going to just basically repeat itself. But the second time around, the storm is probably going to be more intense in some areas. The storm has cut itself off from the jet stream and is now reorganizing over the desert southwest. So during the course of the day today, and you'll see this here in a moment on radar, heavy snow will be falling over central and northern New Mexico, a large part of southern and southeastern Colorado into extreme far west Kansas, the extreme western areas of the panhandle regions of Texas and Oklahoma. This storm system is going to be a doozy in those areas over the next 24 to 36 hours. Then the system starts to move a bit more. It drifts north-northeastward by Friday and into Saturday. And we'll show you the track. The tracks haven't changed a lot, but as we have been harping on, this is going to be such an intense, moist storm that any little wobble in the track of the storm is going to make a really big difference for folks on the edges. So we'll have to continue to keep an eye on that. I think things are coming into focus, but there could still be subtle little changes in the track. This is going to be a significant weather event for especially Colorado, far west Kansas, I think parts of extreme southwest Nebraska. There's going to be a lot of snow, a lot. There could be in the neighborhood of 2 feet plus in some areas of southern Colorado and parts of New Mexico out of this storm. So it's going to cause some real big travel concerns. There's also an interjection of fairly warm air into the system, and that's going to mean a lot of rain for some of you. So this is going to be snow dependent really on elevation and having to be under the coldest part of the storm. Now the storm will exit the region by Saturday night and the Sunday. The next strong cold front comes across the Pacific Northwest, the western United States, and the Rockies by late Monday and the Tuesday of next week. Now I'm going to show you a couple of satellite photos. This shows beautifully the cutoff nature of the system. So the center of the circulation is about right here, and then you can see this nice large plume. We call this a baroclinic leaf that is pumping moisture into northern New Mexico and southern Colorado right now, producing significant amounts of snow as we speak. Notice up here, that's where the clouds are moving. There's the main jet stream. Look at all the clear skies right here. So the low's cut off. Here's the main jet stream, so now it's just going to spin around. Notice also on the satellite image, you see the blue? These are low stratus clouds. This is an area of low-level moisture, and see how it's being drawn into the storm right now? This is that low-level moisture we talked about yesterday, and we'll show you again. This is a satellite image that tries to show the moisture between 5,000 feet and the surface. Now you wonder why it's all black here. Well, these are all areas above 5,000 feet, so that's filtered out. But what you can see here with the brighter colors is the moisture is moving right towards the low, as we were showing you yesterday. So this is, I think, analogous to a spring storm in the sense that spring storms will do this, tap into that Gulf of Mexico moisture and bring it in. So I think this is maybe more of a spring-like storm than a fall one, and the precipitation amounts kind of put that all together. Now, this is the same map I showed you yesterday, the precipitable water map, where you see green and blue and those lighter pink purplish colors is where the moisture is very, very deep. And you can see the spin of the low beautifully there. And you can see also the moisture coming up out of the Gulf, getting entrained into the system as it lifts north and eastward. Then the brown represents the dry air that comes in and punches in behind it. So you can see that this system is detached from the jet stream. Here's the main jet stream, and then eventually it will find its way back, joining up by Sunday and the Monday and moving out of the region. So this system has got a lot going for it. And already there's your radars this morning showing you the heavy snow in southeastern Colorado, then the rain Snow line is right along the Kansas border, down into New Mexico there, already widespread snows. These are the winter storm warnings in pink, the purple winter weather advisories. The green here, flood watches in effect right there. Now, what is likely going to happen is you're going to see the expansion maybe of the winter storm warnings into tomorrow and Saturday into these areas here. But we're going to have a sharp difference between rain and snow, and it's going to be really elevation dependent. So this is where we are with 500 millibars. The satellite imagery really shows and tells the story about this current situation. So this is noon today, noon tomorrow. Not moving much. So the moisture is just going to pack itself along and south of Interstate 70 in Colorado, then down I-25 and along I-40 into New Mexico. Then as we get into the weekend, it starts to make its move. This is by 5 p.m. tomorrow. By 5 p.m. tomorrow, the center of the 500 millibar low is right over the Oklahoma Panhandle. It's very important to pay attention to the shape of these contours, these colors here, because that's the way the winds will follow. So the shape of the storm is really important in terms of its track because that's where the wind will follow. So from the surface all the way up to 18,000 feet, notice that all of these black little wind barbs all the way up here into east central Wyoming, into the front range of Colorado are upslope. They're coming from the east, wrapping around and pushing up the higher terrain. So there's a strong upslope component. The moisture gets funneled in from the system here. So this is the European model, 5 p.m. tomorrow. So this is going to expand the precipitation by tomorrow, starting to push it more northward. So this is the precipitation forecast through 5 p.m. tomorrow. So you can see the bullseye is right in southeastern Colorado, northeast New Mexico, spreading across Kansas and into Texas where all those warnings are. So I like to break storms kind of into segments. So this is the first 24 hours, 30 hours of the storm. So this takes us through 5 p.m. tomorrow. So you can see where the impacts between now and tomorrow afternoon will be. Look at those snow totals. These are 10-to-1 ratios, meaning temperatures will be near freezing. So I think this is a better way to describe it. Look at these snow totals. It's been a long time since I've seen a fall storm produce this amount of snow in east central and southeast Colorado, as well as New Mexico. There's a lot of water here. And this is going to be a concern for livestock interest and travelers, but at the same time bringing really needed precipitation to the region. So this is the first segment. So as we look in and zoom in a little bit closer, I don't think these are unreasonable snow totals between now and 5 p.m. tomorrow in the region. Now there's going to be melting, there'll be settling, so take the numbers with a grain of salt, but I don't think these are too unreasonable. The models usually overpredict the snow amounts, but even if you back them off, even 25-30%, that's very impressive. By 5 a.m. Saturday, you can see that the storm is moving more north-northeast than northeast. So it's going to bring it up to about Goodland there by Saturday morning. And then you can see the counterclockwise spin is bringing an east-northeast upslope into the front range areas and into the western high plains. Let's compare the models. This is the European, this is the GFS, this is the Canadian. What's interesting is the European and the GFS are lining up, but notice the shape of the storm is different on the GFS. It has more of a downslope component, more of a north-northwest wind here along the front range, while the European is more upslope. Now, you might think that's very subtle, but as we said yesterday, these storms are games of inches sometimes. The Canadian model is more like the European model with the shape of the flow, more upslope along the I-25 corridor, more downslope on the GFS, but they're starting to line up very well. If you take a look now at the second part of the storm, this is from the European model. The second part of the storm is going to move into northeast Colorado, Nebraska, maybe into southeastern Wyoming. Southeastern Wyoming, maybe your chances now are a little bit better of at least something out of the system. Look at that sharp boundary between either being dry or no precipitation with the system. So the system is not going to generate as much precipitation as it is going to be today, but still very impressive. There are parts of western Nebraska and eastern Wyoming that could really use some precipitation. Now let's convert that to snowfall. So this is the second pattern. So this is the 48-hour period of tomorrow evening through tomorrow night through Saturday into Sunday. Now you may compare and look at, there's a lot of precipitation right here that is not showing up as snowfall. It's because warmer air from the Gulf region is being entrained into the storm. So your snow levels are going to be really dependent on elevation. The higher elevations of the southern panhandle, the higher elevations along the Palmer Divide are the areas that are going to be, and the Cheyenne Ridge are the areas that are likely going to see the better chances for accumulating snow. So there's some of you out there that might get all rain out of this. The contour of where the snow accumulates is really dependent on altitude right there. The snow hole that you see right there is not because there won't be any precipitation. It's because it'll be all in the form of rain, maybe. I could see this hole filling in for parts of Larimer and Weld County, but it's going to be borderline. Now here are the temperatures to kind of show you what's going on. These are the temperatures starting late tomorrow afternoon and going through late Saturday. If you notice, this lighter blue color, it never really drops far below freezing or gets below freezing right here in these areas right. So what happens is those areas may just stay all in the form of rain, while the higher elevations are going to be snow. So there's going to be a cutoff there. But also one thing to keep in mind is that as the air cools in heavier precipitation, a lot of times that will drop snow levels down to lower altitudes. If you put the whole storm together, the whole two segments, what's going to happen today and what's going to happen tomorrow and Saturday, it looks like this. Very, very impressive and extremely impressive snowfall totals in New Mexico and Colorado and extreme northwest areas of Kansas there. The next front, well, it's going to be a strong cold front, bringing a pretty good shot of colder temperatures, a good shot of mountain snow, and the next opportunity for weather. And look, there's another one behind it. So the pattern continues to be very active. Wanted to show you this. Now, this is very early in the season for me to show you snowpack, but because it's just too early. But this is interesting. Look at all the blue here. These darker blue and lighter blue colors are showing much, much above average snowpack for early November. Then you can see as you go further east, now the snowpack numbers are much less across the central and northern Rockies. I do think, though, that these areas will all be filling in here over the next 2 to 3 weeks as we see the Pacific open up more. But this is a good start to the snowpack season, albeit early, especially in these areas here that did not have a good snowpack season last year. And I do think that will expand eastward. So lots to talk about. We'll have more for you tomorrow. Have a good Thursday.